Welcome to West Virginia Beer Roads, a podcast all about beer from a West Virginia perspective. I'm Erin McCoy, here with my podcast partner, Charles Bockway.
Hello and welcome to our annual Oktoberfest program. Of course, you might have had a clue from the intro music this year. Well, Erin, are you ready for some Oktoberfest fun?
Always. This is one of my favorite times of year and podcasts to do.
Yeah, I know. And we're going to have plenty of beer tasting, and we're going to also do some history talk and tell a few stories about beer and definitely have some fun. So we're joined today by our friend Chris Brown for what I think is his fifth appearance on the annual Oktoberfest show. Chris, happy to have you back again on West Virginia Beer Roads.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is also one of my favorite podcasts to do.
No doubt. Welcome back.
Well, since you like it so much, we're going to put you right to work. I think it'd be nice if you could provide us a quick refresher on the Munich Oktoberfest and in Munich and how it originally came about.
All right, well, Oktoberfest started in Munich back in the early 1800s, and it's since grown into a celebration of Bavarian culture, their beer, food, music, and tradition, but we only care about the beer part here. But historically, though, brewers would brew their beer back in March, which is where the word Märzen came from for the Märzen Oktoberfest beer. It means March. They would store those in cool temperatures through the summer heat. That way they'd be ready for the fall festival.
Right. And that's become like the signature festival known worldwide.
Right.
The one that they do in Munich. But if you follow Germany, just like here in the States, there's a lot of fall festivals in Germany that aren't Oktoberfest. I mean, all the different cities and regions of Germany will have a fall festival. And I think the Oktoberfest name itself, I think that one is reserved for Munich. That's the only city I think that has an Oktoberfest officially. And the other ones that I've seen anyway, and I've been over there a couple times in the fall and hit some other festivals, and they're called Herbstfests, and that's Herbst Fest. Herbstfest, and that just means autumn in German, what I understand. So they're just autumn or fall festivals. Yeah. And so I remember going to one in Regensburg and also one in Rosenheim. And those festivals are just big, like county fair kind of festivals, with with the beer tents, of course, and always featuring their local beer.
Yeah.
And they're so beautiful and so good. And listen, in Germany, I don't think you have a festival unless you have a beer tent,
I'm jealous you've been able to go to so many German beer festivals.
I know.
Well,
lucky you.
Yeah, that's right.
nothing better to do. But anyway, the official Munich Oktoberfest, and that kind of clues or cues us, here in America, of when Oktoberfest season is by the official Munich Oktoberfest. And it always runs for like a week or so. But this year it starts on September 20th, and that's just a few days after we're recording this podcast. And it runs through October 5th this year. So Munich brings out the Oompa bands, the Lederhosen for the guys, and the Dirndls for the girls, and of course the steins full of cold beer. And while we're not wearing any of the official clothing today, Erin will have a discussion of beer steins a little later in the show today. And Erin, maybe you can give us a quick little preview of what that's about.
Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit of the background or origin of steins, how they have evolved, and kind of some modern day information about them.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Now, here in America, the dates of the Oktoberfest season are not so well defined. We tend to start celebrating in September officially and run it all the way through the end of October. You can find Oktoberfest festivals in various towns and cities in America, all that period. So we're not so focused just on any special week or two. And heck, we even start seeing our craft brewers releasing their Oktoberfest beers in August, I think. Chris, what do you think about that?
I'm here for it. I love summer, but by mid-August, I'm usually ready for a temperature change because the heat just wears me out over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I find myself craving that crisp, cool weather, which comes with football, but most importantly, Oktoberfest. So usually in mid-August, I do start seeing it on the shelves, and it gets me hype of what's to come. And honestly, if it comes out in August, that means we get to enjoy it for longer.
That's
So
true.
I'm here for it.
That's true. And I appreciate that point of view because I get it. And I'm right there with you in particular with the warmer weather. I'm not I love summer, but
Yeah.
really I'm a fall, winter kind
Yeah,
of
same.
person. So I'm really ready for the temperatures to change. And I get that excitement of the beer and football all together. But I still think it's just earlier and earlier. And it kind of, I mean, obviously it's a completely different thing when you think about retail, but you see, for example, there's Christmas stuff out when it's not even Halloween yet. And I kind of liken it to that. I know, again, it's very different, but I feel like it's just really early sometimes. And I understand, I appreciate it as much and I'm glad that it's out, but it just kind of that thought lingers a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
why is it earlier and earlier?
Yeah, I think I call it beer release creep. They have like a movement, and through the years, our brewers they don't want to be late out there because shelf space is hard to get.
That's
Right.
true.
Taps at bars are hard to get.
That's
so
true.
if yours comes out after 3 or 4 others have, maybe you won't get the shelf space. Maybe you won't get the tap. So it's hard. They want to keep coming earlier and earlier. And well, heck, they released Sierra Nevada did their Summerfest beer comes out in February. I think.
Yeah, that's
So,
too much.
I mean, it's crazy. It just seems like. So I kind of agree that we need to dial back that earlier release a little bit. I mean, it's kind of silly to have those beers, which these lagers, they're better when they're fresh,
Right.
yet they're sitting around for a month or two while, it's too early to really drink them. And then people, when you want them, then they're not at their peak freshness. So, oh well.
Yeah, as long as they're not releasing them in July or July 4th, I think it's fine. Mid-August is fine, but any earlier than that, it's too soon. But I'm
Yeah.
here for the earlier release as long as it's not too early.
Right.
Okay, guys. So now that we're grounded in the Oktoberfest history, it's time for a beer. And Chris, you have the honor of being our first to introduce the beer you brought today.
Yeah, I brought one of my favorite Oktoberfests from one of my favorite West Virginia breweries, Bridge Brew Works. It's their Oktoberfest. They don't really say which Oktoberfest style. We'll get into that a little bit later, but one of my favorite beers.
Yeah, lager, very clean and straightforward. Got some malt in it, of course, like it should. And those German malts. Yeah, I imagine they did use some German malt, but
It's not overly malty, though.
no.
It's very light, light-bodied. Color-wise is sort of a light copper.
Yeah, the guys down there have been making this. They're one of our older breweries, at least that we've
Right.
had in our area. I think they started around the year 2010, so they're probably 15 years old now, or somewhere in that
Yeah, they're
neighborhood.
one of the oldest.
Yeah, so it's nice that they have these beers kind of dialed in, and I don't think they make a lot of changes in them year to year. Probably not.
No need. This is great.
Very easy to drink.
Yeah, I mean, it is an Oktoberfest beer. It's not necessarily a Märzen or Fest beer. I think they kind of nailed right down the center between the two styles.
I
which
think that's a
we're
good
gonna get into
description.
that here in a minute. But yeah, this is dead center Oktoberfest.
Well, one sort of signature thing about Oktoberfest is seeing folks drink beer from big glass steins. And certainly if you're in Germany, you'll see that. Maybe not quite so much here in America. Aaron, you've been reading up on steins, and what have you learned?
Yeah, I have. And, I will preface this with I do not know any German. So if I am not pronouncing a word exactly as it should be pronounced, please forgive me. I am going to do my best.
We'll help you as much as we can.
Yeah, but the word Stein itself comes from the German word Steinkrug. Is that?
Yeah.
Did I totally
Close
be-
enough, except the Germans, it's Stein, like S.
Stein.
Yeah,
Krug.
Stein. Yeah.
Which would translate loosely to stoneware jug here.
Right.
There's a few other words for steins or steins, which we'll kind of go over those as well.
If you're in Germany, it's Stein. Here in West Virginia, it is Stein.
It is Stein.
Yeah.
Well, there's as I have read anyway, beer krug, which is beer mug.
And that is Krug.
Yeah, Krug.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then it's kind of like
Bier though, Krug.
well,
So,
beer.
Yeah.
Beer is pronounced like beer, but the Germans call that Krug. Kug. They don't say a hard R. So I'm telling you, if you're,
German,
it's crazy,
Well.
but you have to kind of learn that when you listen, or if you say it wrong, of course
Yeah.
they notice. Of course you're
Right.
speaking an English accent, but yeah,
Yeah.
the Krug part, as I would call it
Krug.
here in the States, Krug. Yeah,
Krug.
that's the like the Stein part. That's the what is it, like the stoneware? The stoneware you were talking. I think you
Yes,
mentioned that. Yeah.
not yet. Well, yes, I did the first.
Yeah,
the
right.
main.
Yes.
That's what
Right.
normally comes up when you think of
Yeah.
the originality of where the word came from.
Okay.
So another word is Moss Krug, which is a 1 liter mug
Yeah, that's right, Moss. And I think when
Mas
you're in,
means more in Spanish.
in Spanish, not German.
well, there you go.
It is 1 liter.
It works in German too. If you order Moss,
You
they'll
want more
bring you
beer.
another liter.
Yeah, more beer.
Yeah, I think that this kind of. Well, you might be going to talk about this. Just stop me if you are. That it kind of became the word. It's a volume of beer. I mean, that's what the Moss kind of originally meant, and now it's just like a 1 liter of beer.
Right. No, I did not get
That's what you get when you order a Moss at Oktoberfest in Munich.
okay.
You get the big glass,
Well, there's
33 8.8 ounces or whatever.
which is quite a large glass.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, yeah. More than I often want. you know.
Yes. It would get hot before I finished it, I'm pretty sure. Well, we've also got Seidel, which is a 0.5 liter mug. Seidel. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but
Well, that's Seidel.
Seidel.
Or Seidel, it would be in German. Zei, like a Z sound for the S. But I don't. Yeah, that's one that I haven't heard, even in not that I know much German. But yeah, and we have some pictures of these mugs, the sizes, which we'll put up on the actual article that goes with this podcast. So you'll have to check that out on the brilliantstream.com part of this article. Yeah, go ahead.
And the last one that I have a different word for, a Stein, is a Kefferloher, which is a traditional undecorated stoneware mug, essentially.
Well, there you go. No, I definitely didn't know that. And I thought, I had a stoneware mug. I used to have them here. I don't know what's happened to them. I could not find one for the photos. I've got all the glassware, which, of course, are what mostly in Oktoberfest at Munich, you see glass steins.
Right.
So they're not
Right.
the crockery ones or
The more modern
stoneware.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So originally, the actual Stein came about, or the stone mug, because of the Black Death and/or plague, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah.
It was a requirement to cover your mugs because
Is that why they have flaps on them?
yes, that
Interesting.
is when it first originated in between the 14th and 15th century, and it kind of evolved over the years and changed. Obviously, any of the steins changed. So throughout the 16th century, pewter steins became popular, often with ornate lids. 17th century glass steins, as we've been discussing, emerged with cut and enameled designs. 18th century is porcelain. 19th century, regimental and commemorative steins, which were very decorative and personalized. And then modern day, it's kind of more of a souvenir. They're obviously still Oktoberfest steins, but they're very collectible worldwide. And they've certainly changed from being mandated, because you don't want to die from the plague, to
yeah.
collector
interesting.
items,
Yeah,
I
I
should
think,
say.
in my experience too, at commercial popular bars, restaurants, whatever, whether it be in Germany or here, you're not going to get one of those crockery or whatever you want to call that kind of material stein, like the historic ones that have the lids on them,
Right.
The
Right.
pewter lids often.
Right.
We won't see those. I mean, you're not going to get those in a restaurant. I mean, maybe some specialty place somewhere, but I mean, in Oktoberfest, that's not what they have in the beer halls. Here in America, I've never been asked to be served.
I
in
wish
one
I
of
was
those
asked to have
kind
one of
of
those.
And I do have a couple of those here, so we'll have photos of that style, which of course a lot of people have seen those through the years. And like Aaron just said, those are collector things and something you kind of display on your shelf in the house, but not really things I would ever drink out of, I guess.
Well, right. I mean, as I said, they evolved from necessary
Yeah.
mugs to,
Yeah.
That's cool.
kind of more just practical.
But you will see in Germany today, and I'm just not talking about the Oktoberfest tents because I think they are pretty much all glass, but at small craft breweries in Germany, certainly in parts of Bavaria, you'll find these, stoneware mugs, which are the Krugs or the whatever they are. That's pretty common today. I mean, you'll still find them at small little breweries. That's the way they'll serve a beer. They're usually like
Yeah.
a half liter now.
Like mug clubs are doing that too.
Yeah, half liter.
I think Free Folk
size.
in Fayetteville does that with the ceramic mug.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
That's pretty much it. I wasn't going to get into like a history lesson, but as I said, I did find it interesting how the mug itself has evolved over time, and how it changed again from being something that was
Yeah.
necessary to something
that's
that is
cool.
collectible.
The lid thing was awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what we see in America, would you think that we mostly are certainly looking at glass steins, not even though stein meant stone. I mean, I think that's the translation from German
It
to
is.
English.
It is.
And that's because they were stoneware. I mean, that kind of, they weren't carved out of stone as far as I know, even in the old days. But today, we just commonly call steins the glass, not the material.
Right.
So it's pretty much all glass because it's for sanitation and everything else. It's easy to, and I guess cost effective just to have beer glassware instead of stoneware. Yeah.
Have either of you done Stein holding contest while we're on Steins?
I have not, but I imagine it's quite challenging
I've
after a while.
done two. One at Weathered Ground, lost, and one at Oktoberfest here in Charleston, also lost. It's not easy.
I'm sure
Especially
it's not.
with the Moss Crew.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, and this
Yeah.
year they'll probably have it again because that's coming up, and I'm going to go through that whole list. But I say the Charleston October West, always it's I don't know, it's like it's near its 20th year too. It's been around.
Right, yeah, it's a
while.
blast. It's fun.
And it's coming up in over here on the west side of Charleston, and it'll be October 11th. So it's coming right up. All right. Well, anyway.
But before we leave the topic of Steins, I know it's not Steins, but Free Folk, they have a mug club.
And you're
a
talking
lot
about
of other,
Free Folk Brewery in
Free
in
Folk
the
Brewery in
area.
Fayetteville. A lot of breweries like them have mug clubs, but Free Folk in particular, they do have like these ceramic mugs that are like very ornate and carved with faces on them. They're every one of them's individualized. So
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So they
it's
are
not a
cool.
Stein, but it's really cool just to have a mug
Yeah.
like that to drink out of.
Well, you do see a lot of breweries that they'll hang those up behind the bar
Yeah.
for the different members who've all joined their
Big
mug
Timber
club.
does do that.
Yeah, Big Timber has that, and I'm sure there's several other breweries that I'm not even thinking about that also
Yeah.
have those here in West Virginia.
Yeah, you get
but-
the same essence of drinking from a Stein, even though it's not.
Not
Yeah.
yeah, similar.
And like you say, it's usually something that you're in their mug club, and I don't know exactly. They probably each have their own rules on
Yeah.
how or why you're in the mug club. So, yeah, interesting. Well, with all this talk about glassware and steins and stoneware and all that, I think it's time for another beer, guys. And Aaron, you're up. I see you brought 2 beers for us this year. Tell us about them.
I did. Let's get into the first one, which is Eyinger. We're on this Germany discussion, and Eyinger is from Germany. This particular beer is described as a Märzen. It's about 5.5%.
Oh, yeah, let's taste.
Let's get in there.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I can smell that German malt.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
too. It's very bready.
It's very bready.
Yeah, very much so up front. It is malty, but it's very light.
No, this is always one of my favorite Oktoberfest beers.
Eyinger
Every
is,
year,
yeah,
it's
classic.
solid. Yeah, it's a classic.
It is solid, and I find it quite
And
delicious.
of course, Eyinger means it's from the town of Eying in Germany, and that's a short train ride out of Munich, so it's not far. And they certainly have their own bars that are just sell their beer, and even in downtown Munich. But because they are a brewery not in Munich, it's outside of Munich, they can't sell their beer in the official Oktoberfest.
Right,
so-
because it has to be within.
Yeah, it has to have, your brewery has to be in the city of Munich. But still, during Oktoberfest season, you can go to the Eyinger bars in Munich and certainly get this beer. Interesting.
Well, this is one
Yeah.
that I think is solid every year, and I make a point to get every year
Same.
when it comes out. So
Oh, it's really a beauty, isn't it? So, like you said, easy to swallow and just goes down easy.
yeah, it is very easy to drink and a little bit I want to say rich, but I feel like that's too heavy of a word. It's not rich. It's just very flavorful.
Yeah, it's got a flavor that's let's say quite unlike the last beer we had, which was the Bridge Brew Oktoberfest, and I think this one's just that finer kind of German character that you get from the German beers over there, and certainly the Oktoberfest beers in Germany. That in America we tend to use different malts. We may use more of American malts.
Right.
Certainly, a small brewery does
Sure.
often, and that just means that they give you a little different character in the beer
And flavor, sure.
and the
Definitely.
flavor. Yeah. Here, let's pass that other beer around because I want to compare the two, or have us compare the two, because this German beer we're going to compare to what?
This the second beer that I've got is what is called an Oktoberfest, just Oktoberfest. That's all it's called, by Great Lakes, and that is at a brewery out of Ohio. This one in particular is 6.5% ABV, and it doesn't give a lot of detail. It discusses some malt and things like that, but we're going to try it ourselves and see what we think.
Yeah, let me tell you, this one we've had before and in past years, and it sounds like it's coming in about the same. It's always really at the outside of what the Germans would put in their Oktoberfest beers. I mean, you might find the German ones in Munich or whatever being like, I don't know, maybe as high, some of them as 6% in the fest beers and stuff.
Yeah, but that one's 6.5.
6.5. So really, this is, even America, we don't find this style beer, which is probably a Märzen style.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that in just a minute, dig into what those styles mean a little bit. But this one, certainly, richer, darker in color?
I've already tasted it. It's definitely darker off first look, and it's definitely a little more rich than the Eyinger.
Yeah, and that would make sense that they have to make it a little richer to stand up to that alcohol they
To
put
that
in there.
ABV, yeah, and I don't get the malt forwardness with this one nearly like I did with Eyinger.
Oh, it's
personally.
totally different, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
interesting. Again,
Yeah.
I think that technically they might be a very same style, but just shows you just like with IPAs, I mean, what you can do from one brewery to the next and how you treat it, how you make it.
Yeah.
And I've been over to the Eyinger Brewery before, and that is the most modern brewery you ever want to walk in. I mean, it's all done with all kinds of control equipment. I mean, everything is very tight,
Right.
and it's not. The brewers don't stand there by the thing, timing stuff, or by the tanks or the burners or whatever. I mean, it's like it's all done. So they've got it dialed in, and each style they make, So they're very consistent beers, and where a lot of the American brewers, we creep a little from year to year occasionally. We
Right.
change ingredients, or we just something we want to, let the boil go a little longer or something, or maybe change one of the hops in the beer a bit. The ratios of the different hops. So, we do that a lot more than I think the Germans do. And I won't say the Germans don't move their beer a little bit in style, but,
Right.
it's
They definitely keep the ingredients consistent.
I think they do more
Yeah.
than we do in America. But anyway, so guys, what do you think of this Great Lakes Oktoberfest?
It's solid. It's definitely more of a Märzen. I had another glass of the Eyinger and compared it and went back to that after having the Great Lakes. And I think the main difference is it doesn't have like that hop or floral to cut the sweetness. So it's much more sweet
It is much more sweet,
than
and
the Eyinger.
Okay.
and I get from that sweetness. I can tell it's a little bit higher. ABV. It's definitely there.
All right. Yeah. So again, both of them very drinkable. Even at the 6.5%, I don't get the feeling, not in my palate anyway. There's a ton of alcohol, in
Right.
there. But that is a little bit higher than I think some of these beers that we're going to talk about and get into might be down in the, I don't know, more toward under 6%.
Yeah.
even.
Well,
Maybe.
Eyinger is 5.5. So yeah, definitely.
So yeah, definitely. So you see that again. I think that's the more German.
Oh, sorry, 5.8.
5. Yeah, I think they approach 6 in Germany a lot of times, but
Right.
German beers don't tend to be unless you're getting into the special styles that are meant to have more alcohol. Just their basic lagers are usually a little lower.
Below 6.
Yeah, and unlike in America where we like to add alcohol to everything, so if it's good at 6% or 5.5%, I mean it's better at 6. We think sometimes, and it's not always true. It just means you got to learn to brew.
Yeah, the real statistic for Märzen caps out at 6.3, and that Great Lakes is 6.5, so it's already a
Yeah.
little higher than the German.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a good example. Well, I thought it might be good for our listeners to hear some of the other beers. We certainly had Bridge Brew Oktoberfest, but there's bunch of other West Virginia brewers making the Oktoberfest styles this year. And I'm going to run through these quickly because I want you guys to look for them when we're out shopping, whether it be at Kroger or at your favorite beer store or beer bar. Because a lot of these will be out, certainly seasonal, and they're already out, a lot of them, and there will continue to be out all the rest of September and probably through October. So let me go through a few of these. One that we've had before in this tasting, and we're not going to have this year, though, is the October Sky, which is Greenbrier Valley Brewing. It's kind of I think it might be sort of a hybrid style bit in what you might call it, so it's kind of hard to characterize. Prost Allah from Bad Shepherd Beer Company in Charleston. And I was down there this afternoon and took a taste, just a small sample to catch up with that one. And it's pretty much like it is. It's a lot more like, I wouldn't say it tastes exactly like the Eyinger, but a little bit lighter in that sense than like we just had in this, either the Bridge Brew or the Great Lakes. Yeah, Great Lakes from Cleveland. So, yeah, that's a nice one. Turn and Fall from Short Story Brewing, which also has an outlet here in Charleston, and I've tried that. That's already been out for a while.
It's already in cans and
Yeah,
everything,
so, Chris, you've tried that beer. I know. Talk about it a bit, if you would.
Yeah, I go to Short Story a lot, and I love all their beers. But I've had the Turn and Fall, and it's a good beer. It's just not my favorite Oktoberfest. That's why I didn't bring it. I brought Bridge Brew, so it's not my favorite, but it's a good one.
Yeah, it's good, but right, I'm not sure it's got the finesse of some of these top end ones that we're going to try. Yeah. Another one, High Ground Brewing in Terra Alta, West Virginia, has one which has a crazy name, Famous Monster Märzen.
Interesting.
Yeah, Famous Monster Märzen.
I don't know if I've had that one. I need to find that.
Yeah, they don't call it a fest beer or anything, although they call it a Märzen. But I mean, they don't call it Oktoberfest like a lot of the brewers do. So I think we've even maybe had that in one of the tastings in past years.
I want to say I think I brought that once.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah.
I mean, this is our 5th Oktoberfest.
I might have had Moss beer. I don't remember it, but I need to try it again, though.
And then one we'll be tasting later in this podcast will be the Forest Fest from Big Timber Brewing and also the Fest Beer from Big Timber Brewing. So they have 2 different Oktoberfest styles that they make. And the same as we're going to find the 2 styles from Weathered Ground Brewery this year. In the past, Weathered Ground just made the Märzen style, but this year they're making the Märzen and the Fest Beer. So we have both of those, and we'll be comparing those later. Another one that we don't see in the Charleston market, but certainly if you're up in the Eastern Panhandle, from Abolitionist Ale Works in Charlestown, West Virginia, they have their Abo Fest, ABO, like abolitionist, first 3 letters, Abo Fest beer. And actually, I can't remember what style it is as far as whether it's a Fest style or a Märzen style. But anyway, let's move on. Oktoberfest from Bridge Brew we had. And then there's Oktoberfest beer from Brew Keepers up in Wheeling, small brewery down by the marketplace in Wheeling. Brew Keepers makes their Oktoberfest beer. It's out now. Also out now is the Oktoberfest beer from The Peddler in Huntington, West Virginia. And we've had that one in our tasting several times.
Yes, we have.
In past years. And it's certainly more of a Märzen style, or at least it has been. The last one that I have on my list, and I apologize if I've missed somebody's Oktoberfest, but the last one I know of is, and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, Herbstfest Fest beer. So actually, Kerber Brewing in Barbersville, West Virginia, calls theirs a Herbstfest. And I love that, to see that word used, because they're just calling it a autumn fest beer,
Sure.
fall
That's
festival
neat.
beer.
It's different.
And I haven't had a chance to try it, so I don't really know anything about it.
No, Carver's doing great things. They're getting better and better every year, too. So.
They are.
Yeah,
It's
so
exciting.
no matter what part of West Virginia you're in, you can pretty much find a local brewery that makes an Oktoberfest style beer. And I encourage everyone to get out and support your local brewers and try their beer or drink their beer and take it home. And some of them are in cans. Most of these, though, are probably just on tap. But you can get a growler maybe and take it home and enjoy it over the next week. Well, guys, that's it for the beers that are available in West Virginia, that at least from the local brewers.
Well, enough about talking about the beers that are available in West Virginia. Let's get in here and let's pour another one.
Yeah. My
I know
Stein's empty and my
I
mouth's
know.
dry.
We're here.
Even though Charles has been talking, I'm
I
feeling
know
dry.
we're here to taste some Oktoberfest.
We are getting grouchy here. We want more beer.
We since we've had two standard beer styles for Oktoberfest, we're going to taste and compare 4 beers, which are basically 2 from the Fest beer category and 2 from the Märzen category that Charles previously mentioned. One from Big Timber and one from Weather Ground. Yeah. So I'm going to pass around the Fest beer from Weather Ground Brewery first, and we'll compare it with the Fest beer from Big Timber.
Awesome.
Okay.
So as we're pouring these 2 Fest beers into our glasses, Chris, can you explain what the modern Fest beer style is?
Yeah, so like you said, Fest beer is the modern Oktoberfest style that's mostly drank in Munich at Oktoberfest these days. It's a lighter golden colored beer. It's still malty at its core, but it's a little bit drier than your Märzen or the real dark amber beers. But it has a soft biscuity note, just enough hop flavor or a little floral note that'll cut through the sweetness and make it like easier to drink than those heavier Märzens.
We just about gotten all of these poured. We're going to get in here and sample them and sort of compare the 2 styles. So again, we've got Big Timber's Fest beer and Weathered Ground's Fest beer, both of which are in cans, 16-ounce cans.
Yeah, actually, while you were pouring it, the first thing that caught my eye was the can for the Big Timber's Fest beer. They have a Bavarian flag pattern, but with the state of West Virginia to create the flag pattern. I think that's awesome.
That is
Right.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
The blue and
It's
white
awesome, yeah.
Bavarian flag has the blue and white blocks, that are in little like a checkerboard pattern. And what they've done is take the blue block and turn it into a West Virginia map, and then contrasted with the white in between. And they've just lined them up, sort of like the blocks would be on the regular flag, but it's a West Virginia outline.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I wear glasses. If I take my glasses off, it looks like a Bavarian flag. It's pretty neat. But looking at these, we poured these beers side by side, and they're both immediately lighter than most of the beers we've already had.
Oh, yes.
These are the Fest beers, which are going to be those golden light colored beers.
Yeah. And I guess especially the Big Timber just kind of tastes more like a lighter, but not without hops. I mean, there's some hops in there. Certainly not like a light beer in America.
Right.
I mean, that taste, it's definitely more of the malt and the hops both come through.
Yeah, it's got just enough hop to cut that sweetness to make it like less rich.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about also the Weather Ground and how's it differ?
Let me try this one.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's a little more golden colored than the Big Timber Fest beer, but still well within the Fest beer range for sure.
I definitely get a little more malt with the Weather Ground one.
Well, they definitely have different malts. I will say that much for them. I can tell.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what they are. I'm not the brewer, but I'm telling you, those are little different malts. But they're both very nice.
Yeah.
They
that's
are very nice.
too.
Well, this is the first year that Weathered Ground has made a Fest beer style. And in the past, they've always made the Märzen style. This year they made both. Big Timber a few years ago started making both. So it's interesting that you find brewers that have to give a nod to the folks that like the lighter style and the less big malty or as much toasted malt, and which is the Märzen. And then they know people that just like to pound down a few beers, like this lighter style color and taste character.
And also, like, speaking of, since I didn't bring those, what is the ABV comparison between the 2 local Fest beer styles?
The Big Timber is going to be 5.6%, and the Weather Ground is 6.1%. And actually, I can't tell a difference in the.
Wow.
I can't either in flavor, but back to what you were saying about Charles about America on the higher end in terms of ABV, but I would not have guessed that, honestly.
Right.
I would have
Yeah.
said they were
Right.
like 4.5.
Yeah, and I think
maybe
even
5,
even
but-
in Germany that the Fest beer styles definitely are higher in alcohol than their typical Märzen-style at Oktoberfest. So it's like you got two styles there. But even in Germany, the lighter colored beer tends to
Yeah.
be a higher, approaching probably a
It's more-
6% beer.
It's more crushable, in other words. Easier to drink more Moskrugens of the beer. Yeah, but these are. I'm really glad that Weathered Ground did a fest beer.
Yeah, these are
again,
both
it's one of
very
my
good.
favorite. I've
Yeah.
always stand Weathered Ground Brewery, and this is great.
And I got a feeling from talking to Sam Fonda down there, and he didn't actually brew this beer. It was his head brewer brewed the beer, and from what I understand, it was a little non-traditional, maybe even it was inspired by fest beer, but maybe the ingredients or the yeast or something
Yeah.
wasn't it exactly traditional. So it's made a good beer though.
No doubt. And they did use German hops, is what it says on the can. But yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's
both
quite good.
incredible. I would buy either of these
Yeah.
without question.
Yes, but for a little bit different reason. Like they're similar, but still a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just enough. But it's good that we've got two local breweries or West Virginia breweries that are making both styles. That's really neat.
And these are in cans, so they will be out in distribution. Big Timber will be pretty much out statewide. Now, not in every 7-Eleven and places like that, but they'll be in major stores, and also they'll be out in some of the bars that are doing more of the fest beer, or at least more of the Oktoberfest kind of celebrations, where Weathered Ground
Might be a little harder to find.
harder
in the
to
store.
find because if you're not in the Charleston, Huntington, Beckley, maybe Morgantown market, they don't really distribute much, even in the
Right.
bars. So it might be a little harder to find. You can always get it certainly at the brewery in Cool Ridge, West Virginia, and certainly stop by, Big Timber in Elkins too, and that'll be on tap along with their regular Märzen style beer, which we'll get into in just a second here. So I don't know, wrap this up. Chris, what do you think about the two beers from West Virginia on the fest beer side?
We were speaking about how early in August I start seeing beers on shelves. If I saw these two on the shelf and go back in time, I would immediately have trouble picking one to buy. I'd probably buy both of them.
Right.
Right.
The
I
Big
would agree with
Timber
that.
can would catch my eye, but then I'd see Weathered Ground. I'm like, oh man, they're good too. So I would buy both. These are incredible beers. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Two excellent fest beers. from
They
West
are
Virginia.
excellent fest beers, and they're light and just crisp and just really refreshing.
Right. Well, all right. Now we're going to move over to the other two beers that Aaron mentioned earlier, that we have two of the Märzen style, one each from Weathered Ground and Big Timber, and we're going to compare those two and talk about them. So let's get those beers out and start pouring and we'll start talking. The first one is the AJ's Märzen, and that's the Weathered Ground beer, and that's the beer they've been making, and I don't think they varied the recipe at all, but this is the beer they've been making for a number of years, and it's their, as we said, Märzen style. So, Chris, I want you to refresh us go through some of the technical points of what makes a Märzen style beer.
All right, so a Märzen Oktoberfest beer is the traditional Oktoberfest beer. They're usually darker in an amber color, usually rich and malty with a smooth, toasty sweetness. And I like that we've got two beers from the same brewery that have both fest beer and Märzen. They've particularly made both styles just to show the difference or contrast between fest beer and Märzen. So I think that's cool that we're able to compare.
Yeah.
You
And
men-
in the past, we've had both of these beers before, and I noticed that we've commented on Big Timber's beer being much darker than most all the others, anything that's called Märzen. So is it still a Märzen style? I mean, it is malty. I mean, is it the right kind of malty? I mean, I'm not the technical person. I mean, certainly Chris is the home brewer supreme. He's brewed a lot of these beer styles.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
So I had the AJ's first because we mentioned that one first.
Okay.
It is definitely darker than their fest beer. It's also more rich, more amber colored, more malty, but it's very, very smooth. It's also very clear in clarity too. The ABV on the AJ's Märzen is actually just 6.0. But if you were to tell me to guess which one between their Märzen and fest beer is more alcoholic, surprisingly, the fest beer is more alcoholic than this.
Which is kind of what actually
6.1% for the fest beer.
Yeah.
That's what Charles said in back, kind of in Germany, that their fest beers are going to be a higher ABV than the Märzens.
Yeah.
Probably.
But I guess the richness, it makes it
Yeah.
taste heavier. And
It does. It does. And
Well,
I
it
get
does.
that. It's
And One thing, though, on this Big Timber beer, to compare it with the AJ's Fest beer, and the Big Timber beer is the Forest Fest. It's a lower in ABV, but we've also commented in the past that it is one of the richer flavored beers. So let's talk about, I mean, how has that come out today? I mean, this year's and the 2025 versions.
Yeah, so the Big Timber, actually both their Fest and Fest beer and Oktoberfest are the exact same ABV. I don't get that one's more heavy than other, but I always do think that Big Timber makes one of the most rich
It is
Oktoberfests.
definitely rich, 100% rich.
So immediately expected it to be rich.
Yeah, it's got a different malt character in
Yeah.
there.
It does.
From
It kind
some
of,
of the-
it's like, and this is going to sound weird, but it reminds me a bit of like, there's a little bit of toffee or
Yeah,
something.
like bit of honey.
Yeah,
candy.
it's something like
Yeah,
it's
there's something there.
toffee.
It gets it overly rich, but
Yeah.
it's
Not in
it's
a bad
good.
way.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Like, it's just different.
Absolutely a Meritzen for that reason. It's
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are both Meritzen then. They probably hit the style guidelines pretty clearly. And man,
great. Yeah, they're both awesome.
I'm just digging this. Of
Incredible.
course, I like this style beer. I'll have to admit, it's not between the two styles of Oktoberfest, whether the Fest beer or the Meritzen. I prefer the Meritzen and always have. But it's just, you might prefer just the opposite because they're all good beers made by West Virginia brewers.
Well, and like Chris said, I really like the AJ Meritzen from Weatherground as well. Like in comparison to Big Timber and Weatherground, they're both very good. But for me, just in different ways. You know, it's I feel like the Weatherground Meritzen is more balanced, but as Chris said, the Big Timber Meritzen is just it's so much more. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it
the
goes by the
rich-
beer drinker. If you're wanting
Yeah.
something that gives you that like the heavy malt, the dark. If you like darker beers, you're going to like the Big Timber's Forest Fest.
Yes.
But if you like something lighter, then the AJ's Meritzen is going to be a little bit easier for you to drink.
It is, but they're both equally.
And they're both Meritzens, which is interesting.
In that vein, they're both, in my opinion, they're equally good. Even though my description might have made it seem like I like one over the other, I don't. I like them both for different reasons because they're different. And so,
Right.
you know, depending on your palate, and like I said, if you're looking for something, you want a Meritzen, but you want a little more like a richer flavor, then I would say get Forest Fest. If you want something that's a little more balanced, but also still has the characteristics of a Meritzen,
Yeah, 100%.
then get the
It's
Weatherground
kind
beer.
of cool that we have the same exact style, two different beers, and they're like different ends of the spectrum. But they both fall inside of that
They do.
Meritzen category, which is
They do,
awesome.
and that is what's fun
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
comparing
and-
these.
Yeah, so if you're at home and you think, well, how am I going to determine which ones I like? Well, buy both of them if you're lucky enough to be in an area of the state where you can get both of them, and set them out on your table and with your family, whatever, you know, sit
Try-
down with
yeah.
your friends and try these beers. Or if you're at a bar that has
Get a flight.
Oktoberfest beers, yeah, get a flight. Exactly. That's even perfect. Thanks, Aaron.
Yes.
I do want to add one thing. I mentioned earlier, if I was in the store in August and I want to buy some Oktoberfest beers, if I saw Big Timber Forest Fest in mid-August, I probably wouldn't buy it yet because this is a little too heavy for hot weather.
You know what's funny
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I
is
need some
because
crispy weather for this one.
well, no, that's fair because of the flavor that I get out of it as
Yeah.
well. But what's funny about that, and because I said, you know, I kind of likened like retail to, you know, early seasonal releases and how retail does, like they bring out Halloween, or I'm sorry, Christmas decorations during Halloween. My household, not that I bought, but my household has already drank that. The
Wow.
Big Timber Forest Fest. So we've already had the richer, darker, and even though I was the one to say I'm not a big fan of the earlier releases, I appreciate the beer, but yes, we have already consumed that.
Yeah,
So.
I need some chilly weather and a fire and some marshmallows with this one.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
either way, these are both incredible Meritzens. Again, if I
They
saw them
are.
on the shelves, I'd buy. I'd have trouble buying one. I'd buy both.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I remember on last year's Oktoberfest podcast that I had already been drinking these Oktoberfest beers back in August. I mean, I started early. This year, these are my first.
Are
you know?
they?
Yeah.
No,
well,
yeah.
Well, I didn't start super early, but we've definitely had a couple rounds of Oktoberfest in our house.
right. And here we are, whatever day this is. It's in
September 16th.
September 16th. So here we're mid-September. Oktoberfest officially, official season from Germany, doesn't begin until the 20th.
Right.
And There's several festivals, even things coming up this weekend, I think, in West Virginia. If you're interested in these and trying some Oktoberfest styles, as well as many other incredible beers, the Apothecary Ale House in Morgantown, this Friday and Saturday, that's September 19 and 20, they're doing their beer festival at in Morgantown. So go over to Apothecary Ale House and try not just Oktoberfest beers, but they're going to have an incredible bunch of the beer festival beers. Also, this coming Sunday, and that's September 21, the Bavarian Brothers Brewery, and that's at the Bavarian Inn in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. This is the premier Oktoberfest celebration in West Virginia. They've been doing this for years, even before there were like local West Virginia brewers making Oktoberfest-style beers. The Bavarian Inn is making all these, they've been importing and getting these different German beers in there, and that's in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, over in the Eastern Panhandle. But again, that festival this year is the September 21 Sunday. Also, we're getting Greenbrier Valley Brewing doing, I think, their first Oktoberfest over at the brewery in Maxwellton. That's north of what? North of Lewisburg, West Virginia. Yeah,
at
in
the
the
airport in
Lewisburg area.
Lewisburg.
Yeah, at the airport. Yeah, so they're doing their Oktoberfest celebration on Friday, September 26th. So that's another week and a half from now. And that's about the same time, that same weekend, down in Bluefield in southern West Virginia. Bluefield Oktoberfest comes up on Saturday the 27th. So that one is, tickets are available. I know I was on their website seeing that. That's one that they've been doing in one fashion or another for several years. It's a lot of fun. And then we move into October on the 11th, and that's a Saturday the 11th. The Hops on the Mon Beer Festival is in Morgantown. It's one that's been going on downtown on the street for many years, and used to be a street festival. I think this year it apparently is moved just to be a festival at Apothecary Ale House. So it's not going to be a big street festival like they've often had in Morgantown in past years. It's going to happen again on October 11. And also on that same day, October 11, in Charleston, is this edition of Oktoberfest in the Elk City, west side of Charleston area, Elk City. So yeah, that evening, afternoon and evening, Oktoberfest, October 11th. And then the last festival I'll mention is on Saturday, November 1st, and it's the Frankenstein Festival in downtown Fairmont. And this is the second edition of that festival, just started last year. It's going to be November 1, Saturday, in downtown Fairmont.
All right, I want to add one too, actually. Oktoberfest, you already mentioned that one, but prior to that, Charleston Nano, which is in Elk City, is having their little Oktoberfest on Saturday the 20th, this Saturday at 5 o'clock too. He's going to have some sort of Oktoberfest beer and then beer brats and beer cheese and all that too.
Yeah, and I apologize. I did not mention a lot of the just internal brewery celebrations if they weren't making a special big Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's several other West Virginia brewers who will be doing something special during this season, and you'll just have to check with your local brewery to find out if it's something you'd want to go to.
Nano's right in Elk City with Oktoberfest, so it's going to have its own little thing. That's why I brought that up. But,
Charleston Nano will also be at Oktoberfest. They'll have their beer out there for that.
Yeah,
yes.
but they're having a little separate thing. So before we end this podcast, I brought something too for you. I brewed my own fest beer this year that I thought you'd want to try.
Oh, yeah. I think we've had one of yours before here.
Yeah, and I like this one better from last year. I was like, I want to tweak that in. Like we mentioned earlier, a lot of breweries here in West Virginia kind of change things, but I tweaked it, and I think it's top notch.
How much did you change it? Are you
Not much. No, I just dialed in the ABV, made sure it was balanced with the hops. So
same style? Talk about it. Is it a fest beer?
It is a fest beer. Yeah, I try to double back on that. So it's right in between malty and hoppy, and I like it way better than what I did last year. So I'll probably keep this recipe and hopefully be like those German breweries and keep it consistent. That's
Very
my
good.
goal.
What did you tweak specifically?
I just brought the ABV down because last year it was more like the Great Lakes we talked about. It was like
higher.
6.5%. This time I brought it down to like 5.6 or something, to really low, so you can really just crush it.
So
But
it wasn't
has
as
that
much of an
maltiness.
ingredient.
Yeah, it was more so let's not make this as alcoholic.
Well, go ahead and get your
Yeah.
jug out, and we'll give that one a try. Because I want to know, once we're tasting it, Chris, where your inspiration came or where your recipe idea came. I mean, where did you get this inspiration, and how did you actually brew the beer?
So the first Oktoberfest I ever brewed was actually a Märzen, and I liked that recipe. And I wanted to see if I could do the fest beer style. So I've been trying to dial this in for a couple years. Like I said, last year I didn't like it as much, but I always get my recipe from like a traditional German recipe, and I build off from there, from what ingredients that I can get here in the United States.
So do you order special German malts?
I do, yeah. So luckily, I don't, like a brewery, I don't have to order pallet of German grains, so I can order 10 pounds of German malts and just get 100% German hops and put it in. I tried to keep it all German.
Yeah, let's talk about these hops. Is it a little bit flowery or floral in there?
So these are Hallertau Mittelfrüh hops.
Oh, that's a signature on
Yeah,
those, yeah.
a signature German noble hop that's supposed to give you just a little bit of floral and earthy tones. And again, in the fest beer, it's there just to cut the sweetness a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And it does come through, but just lightly.
Just a nut.
Yes.
Yeah, just a nut.
Yeah,
So-
It does,
This
yes.
beer is clean, well brewed. I mean,
It
this
is very
this
good,
is a
Chris.
commercial quality beer, Chris. Finishing off
No,
our
it's pretty good,
tasting
yeah.
today, it's wow.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good finisher and
Thanks.
easy to
That's
drink.
also probably the lightest one we've had.
It is. I was going to say
Yeah.
that it is the lightest one that we've had. And you said it was still 5.5%.
Yep, 5.5. Huh. But I like this better than last year. But again, thanks for having me, guys. It's 5 years going. Let's do it for
I
next
know.
year, too,
I
2026.
when Charles said that, I like looked at you and I thought, oh my gosh, it really has been 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's time is a thief, but we always appreciate our Oktoberfest podcast with you, and thank you for your participation.
I appreciate it. And I think the only way to end this is with a toast. And you know what rhymes with toast? Prost.
Prost,
Prost.
Prost.
Yeah,
Cheers, everybody.
yeah. I can guarantee you, Chris. If you keep bringing beer this good, we're going to have you back. Probably have to have another extra twice a year podcast.
I've got you.
for
Actually, maybe next year I'll do
Yeah.
Märzen just to change it up.
Just to change it up.
Yeah.
But you know what? You need to bring both so we can compare them.
I might do that, too.
I mean,
We'll
that
see.
fits into kind of what
Yeah.
we've been doing.
Yeah,
so.
I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah.
This brings us to the close of another podcast. Remember, you can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast host. Thank you for listening to West Virginia Beer Roads.
West Virginia Beer Roads is a production of BrilliantStream.com.